So you've seen this thing called LARPing, but you don't really know where to start to get involved, and you don't really know what the steps are either. Well, stay tuned because I will take you through what to expect, what to prepare for, and how to get involved. To start with, you need to find a local LARP. Now the best places to start, like always, is just with a simple Google search to see what LARPs might be in your area. Also, a really handy search is to look on Facebook as well. My local LARP, we have a lot on Facebook, and that's probably where we get most of our traffic from. You might also be quite fortunate and already have a friend that's been talking about this thing called LARP that they go to. Great to tag along with them and for them to introduce you to the hobby and sport. Now, if you're fortunate, you might get several LARPs in your area, and this is something maybe you should look into because different LARPs look for different things they want to achieve. For example, the setting. So some might be medieval fantasy. I've even seen post-apocalyptic and Western LARPs. Another thing that you might want to consider is what that LARP's looking to do within its organization. So some might be like my LARP, Swordcraft, which is more combat focused. So there's a lot less role play on our normal games. And there's other LARPs that are no combat at all, it's just role play. It might be something you need to go and experience for yourself before you decide that, yep, that's something that I'd like to be a part of, or nope, that's not really a good fit for me. So you've found a LARP in your area and you've decided you're going to go to it. Now first up, what you should know is LARPs have a registration that you normally need to register for. Also, a lot of LARPs have new player nights or days where it might be every time they run they'll introduce new players, or maybe just in a cycle. These are fantastic and might be the only way to join the LARP because they want to teach you the rules and regulations and introduce you to their LARP universe. Another thing to know is with that registration to purchase a ticket. This ticket will cover costs such as loaner equipment, insurance, and set. That brings me into my next point. Going to your first LARP, what do you have to have and what do you have to wear? I would normally see if the LARP has loaner equipment. Most LARPs do for new players, even if it's actual player equipment. So I wouldn't recommend buying any armor or any weapons for your first LARP experience. But what do I wear? Plain is best. Just keep it plain and simple. Some LARPs will say on their new player information what they'd like you to wear. So for example, it might just be a black t-shirt with black pants, or just basic solid colors with no logos and no crazy prints. Also with your shoes, keep them nice and basic as well. If you do have a pair of leather boots, even better. Your first night in your plain clothing, running around with a loner sword, you will look dorky. But don't let that stress you out. That's part of the beginning of the hobby. That's something we all go through. Another thing that you should consider is character creation isn't the most important thing on your first couple of times at LARP. For starters, you need to know what boundaries to create your character in for this LARP, so there's no point putting too much effort into it and really designing a character apart from maybe a name. So feel free to just pick out a name or not even have a name and go along to the LARP. So let's talk about, you've gone to LARP a couple of times and you've gone, you know what, this hobby is really for me. I love it. Now, where do you start going with equipment and character creation and so forth? To start with, lots of LARPs have different ways that they separate into teams or houses. For example, the LARP I go to, Swordcraft, separates their teams into warbands, which are player-driven teams where the players decide they build up the warband with Swordcraft's approval. Now, with so many different warbands, or with another LARP with different houses and teams, they might have different styles. Well, I can assure you they'll have different styles, different ways they like to fight, and different things that team is looking to achieve. So they might be more RP heavy in a combat LARP, or they might be focused on being the best on the field. There might be something that they're looking to achieve. Now, I recommend if you're a new player to just tour around with these warbands. And what I mean by tour is maybe post on the Facebook, or if you know them on the field, just ask, hey, next week, can I run with you? Is that okay? What do I need to bring? I'd love to try out your team. This way it's great because you get to know firsthand what they're looking to achieve and see if you get along with their members. The most important thing that I get out of LARP is spending time with friends. So I recommend that's the most important. So just say they're a bit more RP heavy and you're not, but you get along with everyone in the warband, just go with it. You'll pick up roleplay as you go. Another thing before you buy any armor or weapons, if you're with a warband or you're with a team that you know and you get along with them fine, ask them if you can maybe borrow their armor or weapons before you buy anything. All armor kind of feels different and weapons fight quite differently on the field. Of course, with weapons they do break, so I would discuss with that person what would happen in the case of a breakage, because bad things happen. So please don't stress too much about your LARP kit. My LARP kit wasn't that good to start off with, and this is just something that I developed. And of course, over time, if you get into the hobby, your kit will get better and better. But especially as a new player, put no stress into it. If you'd like to know more about LARP weapons and armor, I have a video going through both in a bit more detail. I'll link them down below, so feel free to check them out. I'd like to share with you my first LARP experience, which actually took my friends about 3 months to convince me to go to my first LARPing game. For some reason, even though I was into D&D and I'm into Warhammer, I just thought LARPing was the next step. So I was a little hesitant to do it. But of course, once they got me going, I think this was about 6 years ago, I'm now fully addicted. I'm ironically making videos on YouTube to convince others to give it a shot. I'd love to know about your first LARP experience, so feel free to leave that in the comments below. If things might be holding you back from LARP, such as the social stigma that might be around it, you're just a bit shy or maybe you're anxious, maybe push it to the side. There's really nothing to lose apart from maybe the cost of a ticket and the drive down to the site to give LARP a chance. I think it's a fantastic hobby because as an adult it lets you meet new people that you might not normally meet in your normal work or normal life, because there is such a wide range of people that do LARPing. Also, it allows you to build up friendships and develop skills that you normally wouldn't. I never knew how to make a shield before I started LARPing, and now I love making shields. I never knew how to make armor, and I love making armor now. Not to talk about the benefits that it has for your physical health. Fighting in full armor is quite exhausting, or running around on the field, or really just healing people and playing the game is actually a good full body workout. And also, you know, you're improving your mental health as well. You're getting out in the community, you're having a chat, and you're discussing things that you're quite passionate about. Because I am sure there will be someone in the LARP community that you'll get along with quite well. I hope this video has convinced you to maybe consider giving LARP a chance in the new year, and I'll see you in the next one.